Good morning, greetings, friends, and welcome to The Bright Side, your nutritional program dedicated to the understanding of the vast world of nutrition and nutritional supplementation. I'm your host, Pharmacist Ben, nutritional pharmacist from Boulder, Colorado. I use nutritional supplements where other healthcare practitioners use toxic pharmaceutical drugs and sometimes deadly medical procedures. If you suspect that there are natural nutritional roads to your health and vitality and well-being, and to addressing your health challenges, whatever they may be, but you don't know where to begin, you have come to the right place. As you listen to The Bright Side every day, you are more and more in control of your body, you are more and more knowledgeable, and you know you can overcome any health challenge. That is why we are here every day on The Bright Side, helping clear up the sometimes confusing world of nutrition and nutritional supplementation. Over the last 32 years of practicing pharmacy, I have seen drug-free recoveries from diabetes, hypertension, obesity, skin diseases like acne, psoriasis, eczema, rosacea, digestive ailments, autoimmune issues of all kinds. Recoveries that by the standards of modern medicine can only be called a miracle, but what is in the world of the body, what is in the world of biology, standard operating procedure. Because the human biological system is a healing system, it's a regenerating system. It is designed divinely to heal and renew itself on a moment-to-moment basis. And while some folks may call that a miracle, it really is just the way the body works. If you have questions about health, nutrition, prescription drugs, if you want to wean yourself off your meds and get on a good nutritional supplement program, you have come to the right place. We welcome your phone calls on The Bright Side. 844-236-6010 is our number. If you have questions about the longevity products, our Truth Skin Health products, comments or success stories you'd like to share, 844-236-6010 is our number. We'll get your calls here in our next segment. We've got a guest coming up in our fourth segment, Amelia Lujan, who has putting on an event in Florida, a health expo. She's going to be talking about her health expo in our fourth segment. And we'll take your calls in our second and third segment if we have calls. 844-236-6010 is our number. If you want to purchase longevity products, head to brightsideben.com, pharmacistben.com, or criticalhealthnews.com. You can also sign up to join the Brightside Ben team off our websites, brightsideben.com, pharmacistben.com, or criticalhealthnews.com. And if you want to purchase our Truth Skin Health products, head to truthtreatments.com. Everything your skin needs and nothing it doesn't. And all of our Truth Treatment products are all up at truthtreatments.com, truthtreatments.com. All right, we got Amelia Lujan coming up in our fourth segment. She's got a event in Florida, a health event in Florida. We're going to talk about her trade show, I guess you call it. She does it every year, and we'll be talking to her in our fourth segment. We'll get your calls here in our next and third segments, 844-236-6010. We're talking about the cells and how they perform, the nature of their colloidal nature as a cell conducts electrical energy, the shape of the cell changes, the arrangement of the particles inside the cell changes. All of this can be interpreted as information. If we understand how to read this information, we can assess what's going on in the body. If we understand the language of the cell as it shows up in symptoms, we can figure out what's happening in the body. This is why symptoms are so important, and symptoms are way more important for assessing what's happening in the body than diagnostic measurements, which are based on statistics, highs and lows, and percentages of this and percentages of that as determined by diagnostic devices. These are not the best ways to tell what's happening in the body. The symptoms talk to us. The body talks to us in the language of symptoms. If we have high blood pressure, that's a type of information. That's a clue. That's a communication. And if we're going to take care of the body, we want to be able to interpret this information in a way that helps us adjust or helps us make the body more functional. For example, maybe interpreting high blood pressure as a communication about cortisol levels or about insulin status, maybe about electrolyte balance, maybe about psychological stressors. This is all listening to the body, paying attention to the communication of the body. And of course, it seems logical, and just listen to the body and then do what the body's telling you to do, or adjust the body upwards or downwards, depending on what needs to happen. And this is just common sense, but we have a healthcare system that doesn't pay attention to the body, that rather doctors the body. that doctors the information. It changes the body artificially the way a crooked cop would doctor evidence. Instead of listening to the evidence, the medical model promotes doctoring the evidence, meaning telling the body to shut up, cutting off the body's tongue, metaphorically speaking. That's what a cholecystectomy is, a gallbladder removal is. It's like cutting the body's tongue off. The body screams at us, hey, you're eating the wrong food. Yo, don't put that in me again. And what do? We take out the gallbladder, or we take out the appendix, or we take out the tonsils, or we ablate the heart. The heart says, please, don't give me any more sugar. Please, I need magnesium. Please, give me some vitamin C. Please, get me some supplements. Please, eat better. The heart screams at us, and what do? We ablate it. We destroy it. We burn it. We cauterize it with electricity. That's what an ablation is. Who the heck thinks that's a good idea? To cauterize, to electrocute the heart, to burn it off when it's out of rhythm. Who the heck thinks it's a good idea to radiate the thyroid when it's so freaked out that it's making our blood pressure go crazy? Who the heck thinks it's a good idea to take out organs of the body to shut off our symptoms, to shut up our symptoms? We poison the body into submission with beta blockers and calcium channel blockers and metformin and chemotherapy. We want to learn to listen to the information that's coming out of the body. There's a relationship between information and health. As we get older, as we get diseased, the body tends to lose structure. Its information changes. It becomes less organized. It becomes less coherent. There's a blobification that takes place. We lose our edges. We turn into blobs. That's what aging is about. It's about turning into a blob. It happens to everyone. A blob has way less information than distinct and sharp lines. The distinct and sharp lines that happen when we're a kid are the result of clear-cut information. The body's communicating clearly. As we blobify, we get less information. Our information becomes muddied. It becomes dirty. We become less responsive. A young body is more responsive. It's more able to work with information than a blobby body. Interestingly, we get plastic surgery to imitate a body that has information, that's responsive. We're imitating it surgically, mechanically, but it never looks right. Because underneath the fake plastic surgery, you've still got blobification. You've still got less responsive and less informed tissue. Health is when the body's information processing capabilities are clear-cut. It's when the body's information processing capabilities enhance health, enhance longevity. When it's operating in a healthy way, the body's like a poem or a song. It's coherent. A healthy body is a coherent body. It's got coherent information, and information that can be read and enjoyed and marveled at, like great literature, like a great poem. The rhythms of the heart and the rhythms of the fluids, the circulatory fluids, are propelled through the body through each beat, each heartbeat. The vibrations of the bone are crystalline. They're based on skeletal movement. The vibrations in the brain are based on hormones as the hormone hits or binds to a cell. When we're sick, our crystalline nature breaks down and our information becomes gibberish. Our muscles don't move correctly. The connective tissue doesn't repair itself correctly. Brain chemicals don't bind correctly. We call that multiple sclerosis, or we'll call it Parkinson's disease, or we'll call it autoimmunity. It's basically noise. It's when the body's information field becomes noisy. Disease shows up as symptoms, which are basically distorted information. And this is why diagnostics and testing and doctoring is not really necessary. We just got to listen for the noise. We just got to listen for the symptoms and provide the body what it needs to reorganize it into information, to reorganize the noise into information. This is where the mighty 90 essential nutrients come in. This is where protein, fats, and carbohydrates, food, comes in. Macronutrition and micronutrition. The main way our physical body becomes organized into poetry, becomes organized into information away from noise, is by transmuting protein, fats, and carbohydrates into structures, into cells, into bones, into blood vessels. The body's evolved over billions of years. Beginning with the first cells, 3.5 billion years, the body has evolved from minerals via electronics and resonance and frequency into great poetry. The Bible tells us that our bodies formed out of the minerals of the earth. What they really mean is it formed out of the combination of the minerals in the earth and and the water in the earth. And the combination of the minerals and the waters created electrical currents, and this is what's called the clay hypothesis of life. Clays are super, super fascinating substances. We'll continue when we come back from our break. I'm Pharmacist Ben. You're listening to The Bright Side. Got lines open, 844-236.
Are you
Okay, we are back on The Bright Side. I'm Pharmacist Ben. We'll get your calls here in just a moment. We got Amelia Lujan coming up in our fourth segment. She is the, I guess she's the owner of the Mind Body Expo in Delray Beach, Florida. It's coming up this weekend if you're in the Florida area at the Old School Square Cultural Arts Center. We'll talk to Amelia about her event. In our third segment, we'll get your call, or our fourth segment, we'll get your calls here momentarily. 844-236-6010. If you have questions about the longevity products, longevity business, health challenges you or a loved one may be dealing with, if you have a comment or success story you'd like to share, 844-236-6010 is our number. If you want to purchase longevity products or sign up to join the Brightside Ben team, even better, call 866-735-2470 or click on the Join the Team link at brightsideben.com, pharmacistben.com, or criticalhealthnews.com. All right, so we're going to spend the next couple of days talking about the clays, which, as important as they are for life, really, and as healthcare aids, they're great sources of minerals. They're great sources of nutrients that are attached to those minerals. I've been using clays in the skincare formulations for many years. Clays are one of nature's best sources of silica, which is a very, very underappreciated mineral that is really, in many ways, the sources of life. According to Alfred Budentot, life cannot exist without silica. Silica research is really kind of a little-known field of study in the world of mineralogy, but silica is really, really important stuff. You can't form, silica acts like a scaffolding around which other minerals form. You can't really make bone without silica. You can't make connective tissue without silica. And silica deficiency, even though silica is one of the most abundant elements on the planet, is still pretty common because most people don't eat their veggies. Veggies being nature's best sources of silica. You can also get supplemental silica in the form of liquid silica gel. And of course, clays are also a great source of silica. We'll talk about that in the coming days. Clays are really fascinating substances. They're basically microscopic minerals, mostly aluminum and silica. Yes, aluminum, the much vilified aluminum, which along with silica is the most abundant elements, the two most abundant elements in the planet. And clays are basically these microscopic aluminum silica crystals with other minerals interspersed with them. And these aluminum silica minerals with iron and potassium and sodium are suspended in liquid to form electrical crystals that attracts things, especially water. And this attraction, this ability that clay crystals have to attract things, including the building blocks of DNA, so-called nucleotides or nucleic acids, has led scientists to develop what's called the clay hypothesis, which is an attempt to describe the beginnings of life. It's thought that these clays, these aluminum, silica, and other mineral clays, with their electrical properties and their water molecules trapped within them, somehow or another attracted basic building blocks that allowed life to form. Life, in essence, formed in the clays, which is right in line with what we hear in the Bible, that man came out of the dust of the earth. Very fascinating substances, clays, and as I say, I've been using them in my skincare formulations for many years. They're wonderful as masks, wonderful as cleansers. They're incredibly detoxifying for the skin. And the same detoxifying properties they have on the skin, of course, leads clays or lends clays detoxification properties for the inside of the body as well. We'll discuss clays and their important nutritional properties and health-giving properties here over the next couple of days. Bentonite clay, kaolin clay, of course, kaopectate, everybody knows what that is. That's basically kaolin clay. The three main kinds of clays are kaolin clays, and then something called montmorillonite, which is what bentonite clay is, and then another clay called elite clays. And then there are actually clays that are made from worms, vermiculite clays. All of these have agricultural properties, have health properties, and have industrial properties as well. We'll talk about that in the coming days. Time to hit the phones, 844-236-6010. Let's go to Barry in New Orleans. What's up, Barry? How you doing, buddy?
morning. Yes, I want to ask you about. Do you concur with the idea that all illnesses caused by lack of the proper nutrition?
I'm sorry. Say that again, Barry. I kind of lost you.
Whether all illness, is caused by the lack of proper nutrition.
That's a great question. All illness has an aspect of a lack of proper nutrition. In other words, you may get an illness from a bacteria, say, but that itself involves a lack of proper nutrition in the sense that nutrition would have helped you fight the infection. So I wouldn't say nutrition is the direct cause of all illness, but there's an aspect of malnutrition involved in all chronic long-term disease. The body heals itself. So it adjusts. That's called homeostasis. The highs get pulled down, the lows get pulled up. The body is constantly adjusting. So if there's an attack on the body, say a bacterial attack or a virus attack on the body, there's an immune system that is supposed to be able to handle that, but that immune system is fueled and run and built up from nutrition. So if you get a bacterial infection, it's not the lack of nutrition that causes the bacterial infection, but it's the lack of nutrition that kept the body from being able to deal with the bacterial infection. If you have a lack of repair, say in the bones or in the connective tissue somewhere, that leads to a chronic degenerative disease like osteoporosis, perhaps, well, it's not the lack of nutrition that caused the osteoporosis, but it's the lack of nutrition that is keeping the body's repair system from operating or from firing on all cylinders. So, yes, lack of nutrition is involved in some way in my opinion, in all chronic long-term degenerative type diseases. It might not be directly involved, but it somehow is going to be involved if the body is not repairing itself as it should or fighting the infection as it should, which is to say that there's a heck of a lot you can do by making sure you're nutriting yourself. Now, keep in mind, it's almost impossible to nutriate yourself 100% correctly, number one, because the foods we eat are so corrupted. Number two, because the soils that the food grows from is so corrupted. And number three, because nutritional supplementation is a tricky business. It's hard to know exactly how to supplement, which is why, in my opinion, you want to just drown yourself or saturate yourself with nutrients. You want to immerse your body with nutrients and let your body extract what it needs out of the nutrients that you're taking, and just saturate yourself, immerse your body in all the nutrients it needs, the Mighty 90 essential nutrients, and let the body extract from those Mighty 90 essential nutrients what it needs to run itself. Food, water, the soils that the food grows in, they're so corrupted at this point in time. I mean, we've been trashing our environment for so long. You're just not going to be able to get everything you need from foods. And supplementation is a tricky business because it's hard to know what and how much you need, which is why you just want to just give yourself everything and let your body decide what it wants to take out of that input of nutrients in the form of supplementation that we should all be doing. Does that help, Barry?
Yes, and also I'd like for you to repeat once more, because I had that and I kind of shuffled it around about inflammation. Inflammation
is behind all chronic long-term degenerative diseases, but we don't want to think of inflammation just as inflammation. We want to think of it as defense. And that makes it easier to understand why inflammation is a problem and why inflammation is important. It's not just a problem. We hear about inflammation being a problem, but it's also very important. It's part of the healing process. Inflammation is the first phase of the two-phase healing process. First you get inflammation, then you get anti-inflammation. And if you're trying to go into anti-inflammation without helping the body protect itself, you're not going to get the benefits of the body's healing abilities. And that's why it's important to think of inflammation as a defensive process. Hang on, Barry. We'll finish up when we come back.
Many people.
All right, we're back on the bright side. 844-236-6010 is our number. We'll be talking to Amelia Lujan in our next segment about her Mind Body Expo in Delray Beach. That's going on this Saturday, March 23rd. If you're in the Florida area, in the Delray Beach area specifically, you might want to check that out. Amelia Lujan will be on in our next segment. We're talking to Barry in New Orleans now about inflammation and malnutrition. You there, Barry?
Yes.
Yes, it's really important to recognize that inflammation is your friend. It's the chronic long-term inflammation that is problematic, but it's not the inflammation itself, it's the cause of the inflammation, which is attack. And by attack, I'm talking about typically food attack. That's the most common source of internal inflammation, is food attack. And, it makes, when you think about the kind of foods we eat, nutritionally deficient foods, toxic foods, foods that put a stress on the body, burdensome foods, it makes perfect sense that the body would react to those foods in a defensive posture. And so inflammation needs to be regarded as a defensive response, which tells you that if you want to take care of inflammation, you don't suppress it. That's doctor medical model stupidity, not doctor medical model stupidity, to try to suppress the body's defensive response with cortisol or prednisone or steroids, etc. The way you want to handle inflammation is by taking care of the problem at the level of the offending agent, eliminating the offending agent. Sugar is an offending agent. Rancid trans fats are offending agents. Cooked fats, offending, or burnt fats, offending agents. Corrupted processed foods, offending agents. Think about all the things we put in our body that act as offending agents, and makes perfect sense why would most of us, especially as we age, would be dealing with long-term, low-level, chronic, never-ending inflammation. And so while inflammation gets the blame, or is the focal point, as the bad guy, it's really the offending agent that triggers the inflammation that's the problem. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. Anything else, buddy?
Yes. I eat a lot of fruit. Should I be?
Fruit is very pro-inflammatory. Now, that's another very interesting point. Just because a food has good things in it doesn't necessarily make it a good food. A lot of times you read about all the wonderful things that are in oats, for example. Oh my gosh, oats are a source of vitamin E. Oats are a source of beta-glucan. Oats are a source of fiber. Oats have all these wonderful things, B vitamins in oats, all these wonderful things, minerals in oats. But as a whole, does that make oats a good food? No. As a whole, oats are not a good food. Likewise with soy. Oh my gosh, soy has great protein in it, building protein in it. Soy's got electrolytes and the B complex in it. Soy's a great source of fiber. But does that make soy a good food? No, soy is not a good food in general. Grains are not good foods in general. They have wonderful things in them, but they're not good foods in general. Fruits are much the same way. There's wonderful things in fruits, but as a whole, fruits have to be treated with great respect. I'm not going to go so far as to say that fruits are bad foods, but they need to be treated with great respect because fruits today have been genetically modified. In fact, they've been genetically modified over the course of many thousands of years to be super high in sugar, specifically fructose, which is a very problematic sugar, and low in bioflavonoids, and low in phytonutrients, which tend to be bitter. So farmers have, over the course of millennia, kind of genetically changed the fruits to be super high in sugar and much lower in the bitter phytonutrients that the fruits are supposed to contain. Think about it. Apples, there were no big, red, juicy red apples on the African savanna. We were lucky if we got a crab apple. You ever seen a crab apple? That's the kind of apples, that's the kind of a shape that apples took 10,000 years ago or 20,000 years ago when they were first around. But over the course of the millennia, we turned those crab apples into big, red, juicy apples that are filled with sugar and have much less nutritional value. So I'm not going to go as far as to say that fruits are a problem or bad food, but you want to respect the fruit. And by that I mean maybe small pieces of fruit, maybe eat half an apple or half a banana, suck on it really slowly, use it like a treat rather than as a food that you can eat all day long. And a lot of people are fruitarians and they're eating fruits all day long and they don't realize that they're burdening their body's blood sugar system, burdening the liver, and not getting anywhere near the nutritional value from that fruit that they think they're getting. So I'd be really, really, really careful with fruits. Treat it like a dessert. Use them very sparingly, and you don't necessarily need to eat the whole fruit. You can eat a quarter an apple, or a half an apple, or a quarter banana, or half a banana. And the best fruits are going to be the small ones, the berries, although these days with pesticides, the berries tend to absorb more pesticides than the bigger fruits, so you got to be careful there as well. But from a nutritional standpoint, the most valuable fruits are going to be the berries, the purples, especially the blueberries and raspberries, those kinds of things. All right, Barry, I got a couple more calls I want to get to. We got a guest coming up at the bottom of the hour. Thanks for your call. Appreciate it. Let's go to Brian in Connecticut. Good morning, Brian. Welcome to the Bright Side.
Hey, good morning. How are you today?
I'm doing good. What's going on, man?
Yeah, thanks. I'm calling for my father, actually. He had his thyroid removed about 3 months ago for fear of thyroid cancer.
Okay.
And his recovery process has been treacherous.
I can only imagine. How old is he?
He's almost 70. Actually, he is 70.
Okay, now.
Go ahead.
Well, if the thyroid's out, the thyroid's out. But I'm telling you, people, and then there's 500,000 of these things taken out every year. You're playing with fire. The thyroid regulates everything. You've now trying to run a body without its main regulatory gland. If there's cancer, obviously you don't have a choice. You got to take it out. Now, you said they thought he had cancer. I'm not sure I would have taken my thyroid out just from thinking you have cancer. Nonetheless, it's out. So now you got to be very, 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 very kind to the body. The body's ability to adjust to things is going to be compromised at this point. So as I was saying earlier, how the body's a homeostatic system where the lows get pulled up and the highs get pulled down, he's going to be compromised at that level. Not only that, but when the thyroid is suppressed or taken out, in your dad's case, the adrenal glands are going to pick up the slack, which means he's going to be running on cortisol energy. He's going to be running on stress energy. That means he's going to have blood pressure issues. He's going to have weight issues, perhaps. It's going to be very difficult for him to process his food. He's going to have temperature regulation problems. He may have immune system problems. He's got to be very, very kind to the body. We all have to be kind to our body, but without a thyroid, you have to be extra kind to your body. That means eating as little food as possible. In fact, everything I'm going to tell you are things that we all have to do, but he just has to do it with a great deal more vigilance. Eating as little food as possible. Food is not his friend. And when he eats, he wants to eat foods that are nutritionally dense. So no big meals, just tiny, small bites. As soon as he's full, stop eating. The thyroid regulates the digestive system, so he's not going to be able to digest his food as well as if he had a thyroid. Soups, juices, vegetable juices as much as possible. Fill up on vegetable juices as much as possible. Bone soup, the Beyond Tangy Tangerine, but use it very slowly, small amounts and small doses. You don't want to take too much of the Beyond Tangy Tangerine without a thyroid. Does he have any bowel movement problems? Is he constipated? Or do you know?
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah, that usually happens. So make sure he's doing fiber, grinding up flax seeds, a couple teaspoons of flax seeds every day, ground up, put in water or put into a smoothie. Liquid nutrition, pound the micronutrients, the Healthy Start Pack type nutrients, and then eating as little as possible. Don't forget your slow, deep breathing. That's also very important. Anything you can do to relax the body is going to be important because he's going to be running on cortisol energy without a thyroid. Brian, I'm out of time, but if you send me an email, ben@ksco.com, put your phone number in there. I'll try to get back to you and give you some personal help.
The Genesis.
Okay, we are back on the bright side. Thanks for joining us. We've got our guest coming up here in just a moment. Amelia Lujan has got a Mind Body Expo going on this weekend in Florida at the Old School Square Cultural Arts Center, which is at 51 North Swinton Avenue in Delray Beach, Florida. I met Amelia about 2 months ago, and I was very, very impressed by her passion and her interest in helping people. Please welcome to the bright side, Amelia Lujan. What's up, Amelia?
Hi, Ben. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, nice to talk to you. We only got a few minutes, so let's dive right in. Tell us a little bit about yourself first, and then let's talk about your expo. What got you into this whole nutrition business, inspiring folks to empower people to live a more fulfilling life?
Of course. Well, my background really is in public relations, advertising, and media production. And through my studies and my experiences within that industry, I was able to see how there's so much misinformation out there, and really people are misguided and misled by advertising and by product placement and color psychology and emotional appeal and all of these things. So I was a little bit irritated at that because for me, I'm an advocate for animals and for people. So I embarked on a journey to veganism because I cared about where my dollar, led me, and what I was voting for, the world that I was voting for with my money. So I wanted to educate and inspire people to them to empower themselves.
Oh, Amelia, you're cutting out there. Amelia, you're cutting out a little bit.
And conscious consumers.
Amelia?
I'm sorry, can you hear me?
Yeah, you're cutting out. I don't know if you're in a bad... Yeah, that's better. Go ahead. Amelia?
Okay, that's better now?
Yeah, go ahead.
Sure. So I really wanted to inspire people to be more compassionate with their consumer choices. And then I came about this expo, and I saw it as a vehicle to deliver that message to a larger community.
Okay, so now it's called the Mind Body Expo. So I assume it's not just about the body; it's also about the mind. Tell me how that relates, how those two aspects of health and beingness relate to each other, and how they relate to each other in your expo.
Well, everything has to do with your mind, body, and spirit, right? When we are aligned, we feel guided with divine purpose, and we really feel like we have someone there taking us on the right path. We can probably all relate to wanting to obtain a goal, and then us getting to that goal, we swerve along the way. We get sidetracked with our health, with our physical health, with our mental health, and with other elements within our lives that seem a little bit chaotic. I mean, I know a lot of people can relate to that in this period that we are now. So for me, I have found that it is extremely important to not only take care of your physical health, but also take care of your mental and your spiritual health, because when you are aligned and your mind, body, and spirit are balanced, we find purpose, and we are more guided to do what we came to do.
How does the Mind Body Expo, if somebody was interested in working on their health, how would the Mind Body Expo help them?
Well, we have tons of awesome activities. We have very unique vendors. So we really pride ourselves in hand-picking vendors that are serving the community at large. So we have we divided the event up into zones. The Healing Art Zone, where we have tons of unique healing modalities for anyone to find that are very extremely advanced technologies that most people aren't aware that exist. We also have a Nurture Your Body section where we have delicious plant-based foods. We also have a ton of vendors that have great products to help you take care of your skin and your health with detoxing and such. And then we have a Green Living Zone, which, of course, we have products that pertain to living sustainably. And we also have a Movement Zone where we have physical activities. And if you want, you could also listen to very engaging and compelling speakers that are going to be talking about topics within the health and sustainability realm.
And what is the relationship between veganism and the expo?
Well, I decided the expo wasn't vegan prior to me owning it, and I changed that because I believe that if we really want to live a sustainable life and we want to make an impact for the betterment of our health and the health of the planet, we need to go plant-based, because there is a lot of misconceptions out there about the animal industries, and it's really coming to light how these industries are polluting the environment as well as polluting our minds and our bodies. And this is why I got so passionate about veganism, is because people are being lied to and they don't even realize it. I have a whole video actually on my YouTube about the psychology of why we eat meat, and through making that video, I was able to discover how these industries use labeling and color placements and logos and all of that, and like the graphics, to make people feel that it is something that is normal and that is okay.
Okay, now I'm looking at your brochure, and you have a couple things I want to talk to you about, a couple bullet points that I thought were interesting. First of all, what do you mean by the truth about protein?
So most people think that protein needs to be obtained by animals. However, we get protein the same way that cows get protein, right? Cows eat grass. They don't eat meat.
Amelia, I'm sorry, I keep losing you here. Can you? I'm not sure if you're talking to the phone or if you're moving around.
Oh, I am. I mean, I don't know. I'm having technical difficulties. I'm not moving. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I hear you now. Go ahead.
Okay.
The myth about, or the truth about protein.
The truth about protein, exactly. So most people think that protein is about eating complete proteins that come from animals, but we get protein the same way that cows get protein. And cows, they eat grass, they don't eat meat. So protein is really a complex range of amino acids. And the best way for us to obtain protein is to eat these amino acids, which are found in a variety of plant foods like beans, grains, vegetables, and even fruit. And by eating these amino acids, your body synthesizes the protein. So it's clean protein without any saturated fats that come with eating animal protein.
And then what do you mean by the psychology of why we eat meat?
Because, I mean, if you think about our consumer habits, it's all based on programming. So when you watch television and you watch a commercial, that commercial is creating emotional appeal within your subconscious mind, and it is drawing certain emotions from you so that you can feel an emotional attachment to the brand that is showcasing their product. And they use color psychology. Different colors mean different things for your subconscious mind. Now, our subconscious mind is what governs our consumer habits, our beliefs, the way that we act, the way that we think, the way that we do things. So these companies have figured out a way through PR, public relations, they have figured out a way to embed in people's subconscious minds certain consumer habits. So that video that you're talking about explains how these industries are using labeling and languaging and all of these different techniques to embed in our subconscious minds that we need to eat meat and it's okay to do so. And that's why we have such a huge meat-based consumer culture, because the food industry is the largest industry in the world. And the one that runs it is the dairy and the meat industry. If you look at all the products, they're all meat and dairy.
All right, so we got about a minute here. Tell the listeners about your show or about your event and how they can get there, and timing and logistical kinds of things, cost, etc.
Great. So the event is free for the public. Anyone can come. It's open to families, and there's a lot of kids' activities as well, too. So come prepared with your yoga mat. This place, the venue is located in Old School Square, Delray Beach, which is located on the corner of Swinton Avenue and Atlantic Avenue. So if you're driving off of Atlantic Avenue on the Turnpike 495, you just drive east. And once you get to the heart of Delray, which is where all the shopping centers are, you're going to see it right there to your left. And the event is from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. So make sure to come prepared in fitness clothes, bring your yoga mat, and get prepared to meet some wonderful people.
And your website, real quick?
mindbodyexpo.org.
mindbodyexpo.org. Hey, Amelia, thank you so much. Great to talk to you. I'm sure we'll talk again soon. That's Amelia. Thank you.
Talk soon.
Awesome. That's Amelia Lujan. Her event is the Mind Body Expo. If you're in the Delray Beach, Florida area, I would encourage you to attend. Thanks for listening to The Bright Side. We'll be back at you tomorrow with more awesome, great health information. I'm Pharmacist Ben. Have a wonderful, beautiful, awesome, spectacular day. We'll talk to y'all later. Bye for now.